What was a meal you loved as a kid but now that you're an adult you realize your parents only made because you were poor? My mom made this concoction of canned cheese, canned tuna, and peas at least twice a week. Considering the total cost of that meal is less than $3 and it fed 3 of us for 2 meals, it made sense. I tried making it for my wife once after explaining it to her and it was met with a resounding no. We ate that too. Tuna noodle casserole mom called it. What I fondly refer to as the summer of potatoes. My dad was a teacher and was off for the summer, so he cooked dinner all summer. One year, he cooked potatoes every day, but in different ways. He was always on the lookout for a new potato recipe. It wasn't until I was an adult buying my own groceries that I realized how cheap potatoes were. We had to eat potatoes because they were affordable, and he didn't want dinner to be boring. Homemade pizza turns out, nobody else considers toasting bread, then microwaving it with cheese, and adding a couple pepperonis to be a pizza. Bean surprise, baked beans with stuff cooked into it, hamburger, bacon etc. Sometimes the surprise was that it was just beans. My father used to tell me he bought a Happy Meal from McDonald's when in fact he just kept the box and cooked the little chicken nuggets and French fries. I always asked about them being different sometimes but never found out. Now it's a family story about how far we've come. Edit, whoa. I got tons of love. Thanks for that. Also, for people that say that McDonald's is cheap, it's not as cheap in my country. And also we were so poor that McDonald's was expensive, so put that in perspective. Edit 2, correct spacing. My mom used to have McDonald's night where she would make us pan-fried burgers and oven fries, and then wrap them in wax paper for us. We loved it. We would put on Beatles tapes and maybe even get a soda if we were lucky, so we could pretend we were at an old-fashioned diner. Hardtack. Flour and water mixed and hardened to stale biscuit consistency in the oven. My mother would cut it into cookie shapes and give it to us as dessert, a treat in our lunches, and admonishes us if we ate more than 2 or 3 pieces. I realized later that was so on nights we had no food in the house but flour and could eat all the hardtack we wanted. We'd feel like we were having a special celebratory meal of cookies. Okay, you win. My parents were poor, but they weren't 18th century Royal Navy poor. Edit, thanks for the gold. I'll hum Hearts of Oak in my office until I get funny looks. Wait, I ate all these meals as a child. Were we secretly poor? They are also easy to prepare for a busy parent. I'm the youngest in a big family. Some of my siblings and I were arguing once about our mom's dragon soup. We all remembered it having different ingredients. Finally we went to her to settle who was right. She was confused for a minute and then said, "Oh, that? It was never the same." I called it that because at the end of the month I'd be dragging cans of vegetables out of the pantry and throwing it in a pot. Edit, wow. I'm overwhelmed guys. Smile, my mom passed away in my 20s and I miss her like crazy. I'm so glad so many people appreciate her sense of humor and wit. I love that my most upvoted comment is about her. Breakfast for dinner, aka a bowl of cereal. Spanish rice was always an end of the month / money is tight meal. It was a pile of rice with whatever was ready in the garden or left over in the fridge mixed into it. It was different every time. This is actually my dad's story, but I feel like it belongs here. My dad is 75, I'm 37, shut up. Setting, the Bronx, mid-1950s. My grandfather and my dad had a lunchtime routine on the weekend. They'd walk down to the deli and get basically the dollar menu item of the time, a hard roll hollowed out, slathered on the inside with a thick layer of butter, and stuffed with raw onions. It might sound disgusting, but my dad has made it for me before, and it's freaking disgusting. Spaghetti noodles with butter and Parmesan cheese. I still crave it sometimes. My parents were not poor, but we ate this all the time. Now that I am poor, I'm really glad I developed a taste for it. My mother made a lot of chicken when I was a kid. I loved it at first, but after eating it 6 days of the week, we had pork chops sometimes, usually on Sundays. For 15 years I really got sick of it. I was poking some fun at her one day not too long ago about how much she just loved chicken because I never saw her eat it anymore. And she admitted that she actually hates chicken, but it was cheaper than any other type of meat. Or, this is sweet, and reminds me of another story I saw on Reddit about a kid who always remembered going to MCDS with his mum and how great it was. He said they would go once a week and it was either because they had coupons or because there was a special that day of the week. I can't remember which, and it was where you could get 2 cheeseburgers and a drink with free refills for like $2. So the mom would eat half a cheeseburger, give the kid the other 1.5 cheeseburgers, and then share/fill herself up on the free refills of soda. It made me tear up because to the kid, now adult, it was a fun, once a week, awesome memory with mom. But for the mom it was eating half a cheeseburger as her only meal that day so her kid could have a full stomach and have fun and play in the play place. Moms are amazing. Pot pies would go on sale for like $10/$1. My mom would fill our freezer. I'm pretty sure this is common, but my mom used to buy the canned Minute Maid concentrate, and then dilute it with way more water than necessary to make it last longer. It was pretty much orange flavored water, at that point. On a somewhat less serious note, when she was pissed, and we asked her what was for dinner, actually, not sure if she was pissed or if this was an actual serious response. She would respond, in Chinese, the northwest winds. Essentially she told us to go to the yard and open our mouths and swallow the air to feel full. In my childhood we ate a lot of deer, rabbit, and squirrel, because we had to. My mom would dip the squirrel in flour and fry it in butter till browned, and then simmer it in gravy with merle mushrooms and onions, or ramps. She would do the same with deer as well. We always had a huge garden. I can say from personal experience that there is nothing that tastes better than French fries made from potatoes that have been out of the ground for less than 20 minutes. A close second would be sweet corn pulled directly from the stalk and roasted, husk on, over hot coals of a wood fire. Another fave was when we would open up a jar of everything we canned from summer, add in homegrown cabbage, potatoes and turnips, onions from the root cellar, and cut up deer steaks and barley to make killer vegetable soup. We did not really know we were poor, actually. Honestly, you probably ate better than most of modern Americans. Those cheap $3 pizzas. I still enjoy them. Edit, I was guessing the price, smile. I remember being so stoked when we got to have pancakes for dinner. Only to much later realize it was because flour was pretty much the only food we had in the house. As a single mom of 3, this was my go-to meal in between checks. Once someone called CPS on me saying I didn't have food in the house, but I showed them a 10-hash bag of flour, milk, butter, sugar. They asked what I could make with that. Pancakes for days. Another single mom next door, she and I sometimes would swap food or do somewhat of a potluck. Between us, our 6 kids never went hungry. Shit on a shingle, chipped beef with homemade white gravy, and you eat it over toast. And now that I've been reminded of it, I really want some. Helper. We couldn't afford hamburger meat. I don't know why they call this stuff hamburger helper, it does just fine by itself. Crescent dogs. I thought that was the finest gourmet cooking. They're cheap hot dogs wrapped in Pillsbury dough and tossed in the oven for a while. That's fancy pigs in a blanket. Slop. It was rice, chicken, and cream of chicken all mixed together with maybe some salt and pepper. Just cooked in a big pot. On the flip side, a meal my roommates and I used to make. I was freshly divorced and was working in a restaurant that ground beef daily for burgers and discarded the waste each night. But the grill cook liked fruit juice, so a few juices throughout the night from the bar turned into fresh ground beef for me. One time I called my roommate and told him to go buy cheese. I got the ground beef and about 5 pounds of mashed potatoes, also would have been thrown out, and we made 3 days worth of shepherd's pie for $3.50. That beef was a daily thing, meatloaf, burritos, you name it. Shit got us through some hard times, yo.